As Democrats do their best Jan Brady impersonation and continue to pout Russia, 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 newly declassified documents continue to reveal that Hillary Clinton is likely the perpetrator of the largest political and criminal hoax in American history. Eat your heart out, Jussie Smollett.
Never tell them who I am. Well, how dang, I'm a man. 6 shooters in both my hands. I'm a cold-blooded brother, a real bad mother. Watch out, honey, here I am.
It's the story that will not end. When will this finally come to a conclusion? When will we finally get the arrests? The investigation into the origins of the Russia investigation. So it's an investigation with of another investigation. And we all know the Mueller investigation went on for 2.5 years and came up with absolutely nothing. And there's new evidence coming out that it looks like Hillary Clinton was behind, fabricated the entire scandal that Trump was colluding with the Russians. And we're getting more and more information that is being released, not all of it public yet. So we have here from the Daily Caller, Intel chief sends 1,000 pages of documents to Justice Department for Durham probe. So John Ratcliffe, the director of national intelligence, said Wednesday he sent nearly 1,000 pages of documents to the Justice Department to help with an investigation led by U.S. Attorney John Durham into the origins of the Trump-Russia probe. Ratcliffe said he will continue supporting the DOJ and further declassifications consistent with their investigation. Now, these 1,000 pages of documents are not publicly available yet. And so it says here it was not made immediately clear when those are going to be made public or if they will be made public anytime soon. My hope is that they are, because we need this information out and we need people talking about it. I'm sick and tired of this entire investigation going on behind closed doors. There is information that they can release and let the public know before it's too late, before Biden sweeps in and wins the election. You know, America needs to have a greater sense of what's actually going on. I understand there's going to be some things that they can't release publicly because it is an ongoing investigation, but getting this close to the election, most of us were hoping that this would have been wrapped up by now, that this would have been all over with, and that we would have had the answers that we were looking for. We all essentially know what happened. There's enough pieces of the puzzle there to say with a lot of confidence what Hillary Clinton did and what the Democrats have been doing to assist her, the FBI as well, the CIA as well, the Obama administration. And this is a difficult video for me to do because I've already done a lot of backstory on this the whole Russian interference thing and the Obamagate scandal. In fact, back when I was doing the old Revved Up series, episode 6, which you can go back and watch, will give you, if you're not familiar with the story at all, it will give you a good intro onto what's happened. Now, a lot has broken since I put that video together, but it will give you a good baseline for where the information started. And back then, we thought most of this had to do with Barack Obama, but it's looking like it is now actually Hillary Clinton. But we also have here that the DNI, this is a day before that Ratcliffe released those 1,000 documents, he released John Brennan's notes and the CIA memo on Hillary Clinton stirring up a scandal between Russia. And I'm not going to get into this article right here because we actually have a pretty good breakdown that kind of has a both sides type argument here from Just Security. And so we have here declassification of CIA documents. Director of National Intelligence, DNI, John Ratcliffe, yesterday declassified documents that revealed former CIA Director John Brennan had briefed former President Barack Obama on Hillary Clinton's alleged attempt to link President Trump, then the presidential candidate, to Russia as a means of distracting the public from the use of a private email server ahead of the 2016 presidential election, and revealed a CIA memo that shows officials referred the issue to the FBI to potentially investigate. So this is not some brand new thing that is just coming out of nowhere that Hillary Clinton was behind this. There was intelligence during the 2016 election that showed, or that at least implicated, Hillary Clinton was behind this entire thing. Now, we all know, I mean, Hillary Clinton acted in the sketchiest of ways possible. So, yeah, it's saying that she did this to distract from her email scandal. And part of that email scandal involved the fact that she basically acid washed her servers and deleted over 30,000 emails. And on top of that, Clinton operatives smashed cell phones with hammers. You don't do that if you're not guilty of something. You don't do that unless you're trying to hide something. That is called destruction of evidence and potentially obstruction of justice. And we also know now from the Mueller investigation, which is now being investigated by John Durham, that somewhere around 30 phones that the agents used during the investigation just all happened to be wiped. I think it was like 27 or 29 phones that the agents were using all happened to be wiped. So you can't recover the evidence from that. Well, maybe they can. I don't know. But they were at least attempting to destroy all of that evidence, all of the stuff that they found in the Russia probe that likely implicated Hillary Clinton, and they didn't want that getting out. You know, I guess their excuse was they all forgot their passwords and they entered it in so many times that the phones just wiped themselves. Now, this is actually getting beyond Prince Andrew's "it can't be true because back then I couldn't sweat" excuses. I mean, it's just so absurd that to me, that is proof. You know, they have these investigations that say, oh, well, you know, that's evidence, but it's not proof. There's no possible way that they wiped all of that evidence by accident. That was done on purpose. Hillary Clinton deleted her emails on purpose. They smashed cell phones with hammers on purpose. There has to be something here. There has to be something that can be done to go ahead and start indicting these people. And so we also have here, now back to this article here because I got off on a tangent there. So it says here that Brennan briefed Barack Obama on Hillary Clinton's alleged attempt to link President Trump to Russia as a means of distracting from the server. So Obama knew about this. He was briefed on this. And ahead of the 2016 election, and revealed that a CIA memo shows officials referred the issue to the FBI. So it wasn't just Brennan, or it wasn't just Obama that was informed by Brennan. And Brennan was likely in, I mean, it's almost guaranteed that he was in on this entire thing. Because there was also a news story the other day saying that there were 2 CIA agents who were trying to bring this to Brennan's attention. And that he said, he discredited it and said, no, Trump is what we need to focus on here. There was evidence. So let's just go ahead and read the rest of this. So the documents, which include handwritten notes from Brennan, were released to the House and Senate Intelligence Committee yesterday at the direction of Trump, Ratcliffe said in a statement to Fox News. Brennan's notes were, however, written prior to his briefing with Obama on the matter, a source familiar with the document said. We're getting additional insight into Russian activities from Redacted, Brennan notes read, adding, cite, summarizing, alleged approved by Hillary Clinton, a proposal from one of her foreign policy advisors to vilify Donald Trump by stirring up a scandal claiming interference by the Russian security service. Most of the detail was redacted. So, all right, most of the detail was redacted, but in the margins it is stated JC, Dennis, and Susan, which some have said could be referring to, respectively, former FBI Director James Comey, former National Security Advisor Susan Rice, and Obama's Chief of Staff Dennis McDonough. Brooks Singman reports in the Fox News. And by could, I think they should probably replace could with most likely. Because who else is that going to be? We know that Susan Rice was sitting in on the January 5th meeting about General Flynn, which I'm going to get to General Flynn a little bit more in a minute here. But it makes absolutely zero sense why, if they had this information, if they had this, that, okay, we're going to ignore that. We're going to not investigate Hillary Clinton on this, but we're going to investigate Donald Trump. The one that likely this information, or potentially, is coming from a hoax being perpetrated by Hillary Clinton. But we're not going to investigate her. We're going to follow up with what Hillary Clinton has set in motion, and we're just going to investigate Trump and let everything about Hillary Clinton skate. despite the fact that we already know that Hillary Clinton did those very sketchy things to cover her ass. Hillary Clinton acted in the sketchiest possible manner, clearly deleting and destroying evidence against her. And then when the evidence comes up, also that she's behind pushing this on this Russian collusion thing on Trump. Well, let's investigate Trump and not investigate Hillary Clinton, which shows that the FBI, James Comey, is likely in on this. And James Comey was actually asked about this and lied under oath. I mean, okay, maybe he didn't lie under oath, but I can say it's likely he lied under oath when he said that he had no recollection of being briefed on this, because he was asked about it. And under oath, he said that he didn't recall being briefed on this. But we now see for a matter of fact that he was briefed on it, and I would think that this is something he would remember, especially given that this is one of the focal points, one of the defining moments of his entire fucking career. Now, that was from Fox News. I think that was from the article that I skipped over to begin with because I wanted to get to, you know, what shortened it down. Now, we also have something from CNN here. So, Brennan yesterday accused Ratcliffe of selectively declassifying the documents and memo to advance the political interest of Trump and close Republican allies. Speaking in an interview with CNN's Jake Tapper, "These were my notes from the 2016 period when I briefed President Obama and the rest of the National Security Council team about what the Russians were up to, and I was giving examples of the type of access that the U.S. intelligence community had to the Russian information and that the Russians were talking about and alleging." Now, there's something interesting in what he's saying here, because he's kind of giving away the game a little bit and saying that this was Russian intelligence. This wasn't intelligence that the Russians were giving us. It was intelligence that we had access to, but it was being kept within the Russians. So it looks like the Russians were being set up the same as Hillary Clinton, and they were questioning it themselves. They seem to not actually know what the source of this was. So let me just reread that again. So, "These are my notes from the 2016 period when I briefed President Obama and the rest of the National Security Council team about what the Russians were up to, and I was giving examples of the type of access to the U.S. intelligence, to the type of access that the U.S. intelligence community had to Russian information, and that the Russians were talking about and alleging." So they weren't sharing that information. That was behind closed doors Russian information that they had access to. So why would you think that the Russians are lying about this? If this is them that are talking about why is Hillary Clinton saying that we're colluding with Donald Trump. And in fact, Brennan also, it came out, buried information that showed that Putin actually favored a Clinton presidency. So their entire narrative is completely unraveling on this. So Brennan made clear he also pushed back on the CIA memo revealed. Which claimed that Clinton's actions were a means of distracting the public from her use of a private email server, stating that if in fact what the Russians were alleging that Hillary was trying to highlight the report, or hold on, this is really weirdly written. If in fact what the Russians were alleging that Hillary was trying to highlight, the reported connections between Trump and Russians, if that was accurate, and a big if, there is nothing at all illegal about it. He also added, John Ratcliffe and others are trying to portray this as unlawful activity that deserves follow-up investigation by the FBI. No, it was a campaign activity, he added. I'm not buying this. I am simply not buying this. It's because, again, he's showing that this is not information that that was readily available to Hillary Clinton or anybody in the intelligence community. The intelligence community was able to uncover it. It's all very confusing. It's all very convoluted, and it's very difficult to parse all of this out. And up until this point, I feel like I've done a decent job, but even now, I'm getting confused. about some of the elements of it. I mean, I think I'm pretty clear on what exactly happened, but you know, we're getting fed up with this being drug on, and even Donald Trump has been tweeting about this. And so Paul Sperry tweeted, "When all the documents are finally declassified and all the redactions removed from the reports, the nation will see that the FBI and CIA not only knew the Russia collusion allegations against Trump were a political dirty trick, but that they were in on the trick." And that's the point that I was trying to make. And Donald Trump responded, "I have fully authorized the total declassification of any and all documents pertaining to the single greatest political crime in American history, the Russia hoax. Likewise, the Hillary Clinton email scandal. No redactions." So Trump has declassified all of it, and he is saying, do not redact a goddamn thing. And so he also said, "All Russia hoax scandal information was declassified by me long ago. Unfortunately for our country, people have acted very slowly, especially since it is perhaps the biggest political crime in the history of our country. Act." And I just put out that video the other day that was talking about how Gina Haspel, who was handpicked by John Brennan to represent the CIA in London, which is where Christopher Steele was working out of, and where we also know that the George Papadopoulos setup happened. She was personally blocking the declassification of this information. Something needs to be done about that agency, the CIA, where they are working beholden to nobody, not beholden to the president. So, you know, Trump also tweeted, you know, he's getting so frustrated. He's actually getting frustrated with Bill Barr, it looks like, because he's retweeting this meme from Lisa Matassa, who I guess is a country musician. Says, "For the love," it's got Chris Farley yelling at Bill Barr, "For the love of God, arrest somebody." Exactly. We have so much information at this point. We have so much of it. How can they not put a case together at this point? It's getting really, really infuriating. And, you know, one of the linchpins to all of this has been General Michael Flynn. Now, some of you may or may not know who Michael Flynn is, and you may not know the other people that were spied on, you know, Carter Page, George Papadopoulos, Paul Manafort, and Michael Flynn. Those are the four that were really set up in this. But Michael Flynn was the linchpin because he actually worked for Obama between 2011 and 2014, and he was very, very acrimoniously let go because General Flynn is a true patriot, and he was not going along with the Obama agenda. And so, despite the fact that the Bill Barr, there's no prosecutor against Michael Flynn anymore, but Judge Emmett Sullivan still refuses to drop the case, despite the fact that there's no prosecutors, that he's making the prosecutors prove why they should drop the case. And every step of the way, he is continuing to stall and stall and stall because there is a gag order on Michael Flynn where he cannot talk about anything. So they're trying to stall the complete exoneration of Michael Flynn until after the election because they know that Michael Flynn knows where a lot of bodies are buried. He can talk about not only what has been done to him, but also what he saw working under the Obama administration from 2011 to 2014. He is going to know where a lot of the bodies are buried in the Brennan-Clapper-Obama intelligence swamp. And so we have this from Technofog here, which if you don't follow Technofog, you probably should. So he has this pin, DOJ procedures... DOJ produces new Flynn evidence, 12517 notes, FBI OGC lawyer notes, Logan Act, no reasonable prosecutor would proceed. Flynn called with Kislyak similar to other transition teams. First time to use Logan Act thread. And, you know, Bill Priestap, who I believe was Peter Strzok's boss, we already have his handwritten notes that were asking when they went to investigate or when they went to interview Michael Flynn. His handwritten notes asked, "What are the point? What is the purpose of this interview?" And one of the questions was, "Is it to get him fired?" That is not the purview of the FBI to try to get an incoming national security advisor fired from their job. That should be a major, major red flag that there were political games going on here. That they were not going after Michael Flynn in any kind of good faith. And we're seeing here that no reasonable prosecutor would have proceeded with this. Yet not only did they proceed with this, they withheld exculpatory evidence that would have cleared Michael Flynn. And then when that exculpatory evidence came clear, Michael Flynn reversed his guilty plea, which he only pleaded guilty because they went after his son. And sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. It's such a complex story, and it's hard to communicate in a way that is coherent to people who maybe haven't been following this closely. So bear with me. I'm trying to do my best here. So we had the notes that show that they were going after Michael Flynn, and we also had the handwritten notes that implicated Biden as being the one that came up with the idea to go after him with the Logan Act. And we're seeing here that no reasonable prosecutor would have proceeded with this. So despite the fact that no reasonable prosecutor would have ever proceeded with prosecuting Michael Flynn, now that all of the information has come out and the Justice Department has dropped their case against Michael Flynn, you have this judge, Emmett Sullivan, who refuses to drop it. So a faulty prosecution that is provenly, verifiably faulty prosecution, corrupt prosecution. You have the judge that will not release it. And just as a little side note, Judge Emmett Sullivan was a Clinton appointee. Bill Clinton, that is. It seems to me that he has his marching orders to drag this out until after the election. And Sidney Powell, who is Michael Flynn's attorney, has actually filed to get Sullivan removed. And honestly, Sullivan needs to be disbarred and likely thrown in jail for what he's doing. It seems to me like he has been tasked with falling on a grenade for the deep state. He is absolutely a political operative at this point. And so we have more information here from Technofog. Here we see the dubious Russia blackmail theory image. Notable that there was no discussion of materiality. Also, concession that we left Flynn in position to not correct record because we didn't confront him. And assessment of whether Flynn is in a covert relationship with Russia, which is what they were alleging. Probably not, based on facts to date and interview. So, they knew there was nothing to go after Michael Flynn for. They knew it. This has been a political railroading, the likes of which we have never seen ever. And it looks like the whole Russia collusion narrative was concocted to hide Hillary Clinton's email, or to distract from Hillary Clinton's email scandal, and then it has been perpetuated to cover up all the actions that were taken afterwards in trying to frame Donald Trump. So it is absolutely a nightmare. Anyways, guys, this is getting more and more convoluted as more and more information comes out. It's an incredibly complex story, but it is looking like absolutely Hillary Clinton was behind this. The CIA, the FBI, and top-level Obama officials were all involved in the entire thing. All involved in this. All partook. This is sedition. This is treason. And it is about time that they faced the music for it. Anyways, guys, that's it for this video. If you like this video, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell, or you likely won't get notified when any new videos come out, because we all know it's voices like mine that are first to be taken out back and yellered by the folks at Big Tech. And speaking of the Big Tech companies, if you want to follow me on any of their platforms, I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Parler at Ram Thorburn. Also on Minds and Pill.net, also at Ram Thorburn. And if you are interested in contributing to the channel, there are links to my Subscribe Star, Patreon, and PayPal down in the description below. Anyways, guys, thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day.